Namaste, I'm Dr. Prabash, consultant in neurology, Apollo Specialty Hospitals, Vanagaram, Chennai. So we are going to discuss regarding vertigo and related balance disorders. So first up, for a change, I'll start with three take-home messages. Number one, that vertigo is not a diagnosis. It is a symptom. So in my experience, I have seen several people walking into the consultation room stating that they have been diagnosed with vertigo. So vertigo is not a diagnosis. How often will you see that people complaining that I've been diagnosed with fever, I've been diagnosed with headache, I've been diagnosed with stomach pain. So we don't do that, right? So like that, vertigo is a symptom and it's not a diagnosis. Only if you find the cause behind it, we will be able to treat it correctly. So number two, so continuation of the first point, we need to diagnose it correctly. So how will you diagnose it correctly? Almost 80 to 90% of a good diagnosis results in a good history and examination. So a lot of effort is needed from the doctor as well as from the patient so that they can recollect and tell their problems to the doctor, so that we will arrive at a correct diagnosis. Number three, and important one, is the cervical spondylosis causing vertigo is a highly overrated, overdiagnosed problem. So it occurs only in minuscule of people. So I will explain those details in the further discussion. So balance, we will not talk about vertigo now. Vertigo, the balance disorder encompasses vertigo. So we will be discussing about balance disorder as a topic from now on. So balance disorder is one of the commonest problem for which a person seeks medical help. So almost 40% of people above 35 has some sort of balance issues, and 85% of people above 80 years of age has some sort of balance problems. So it is very common, and among them almost 40%, the recent study have shown that almost 40% of balance disorders are due to autological causes, and 35% is medical causes including neurological causes, and 25% is still undiagnosed or difficult to diagnose problem, which includes psychological as well as psychiatric problems. So first up, before discussing about balance disorder as a medical subject, let's try to understand the physiology behind it. So we will understand why this occurs. The vertigo or all these balance disorders are an illusion. So why this happens? So the brain receives information from three sources to maintain balance. So what are those three sources? Number one, and the important one, is the vestibular system or the vestibular apparatus. It is a sensor which which gives information to the brain that we are moving. It moving forward, backward, sideways, up and down. All these information will be conveyed or will be picked up by this sensor, that is the vestibular apparatus, and sends information through the vestibular nerve to the brain. So in the brain, it enters first the brain stem, where they have some connections, and then it goes into the brain per se. So we can divide it into two parts, like the peripheral and central. So the peripheral part of the it's a vestibular system. So the vestibular apparatus is part of the vestibular system. So this this information will be the whatever movement that happens will be picked up by the sensor and will be given to the brain to process further. So a lot of processing, post-processing of this information happens, so that the details are taken, even in the minutest level, the details are taken by the brain. So the number two is vision, the vision system, that is what is happening around us will be informed to the brain by the eyes. So number three is from the nerves, that is peripheral nerves. Even if we close the eye and we keep the hands like this, we will be able to perceive that our hand is here, because the information from the nerves, these joints, will be picked up by the nerves and will be sent to the brain. So all these three information are mixed in the brain as well as it is compared with each other, and then as a whole the information will be perceived by the brain. So if at all these but the brain keep constantly checking this information, even if it is coming from the west. For example, if we are sitting in a train and when the next compartment moves, we feel that we are moving. It is because first up the eyes will tell the brain that we have started moving. Then it cross checks with the balance, the vestibular apparatus, and finds that no, we are not moving. Then it finds that, oh, that was an error. We were not moving. The adjacent compartment was moving. So it keeps checking. So if the information received from all these three sources match with each other, as well as match with the previously stored information, that is, if at all I am sitting here in this chair, the brain has already calculated, okay, this is what is expected. So the information from all these three sources match with the information which the brain has already calculated, then there will be no problem. If there is a mismatch between this information coming from three sources, or it doesn't match with the previous information, then the illusion of vertigo or dizziness happens. So this is the science behind behind this balance. The perception of movement is because of this illusion. So the idea of getting the history and examination is that we should localize where the problem is. Like from history as well as examination, we will get the general information as well as targeted questions to find out which one of this system is involved, and then in the system what part is involved. So that is the kind of effort that we need to put to diagnose this balance disorders. So what will be my approach to a patient with dizziness? So in continuation, a bit of anatomy and physiology. These information from the peripheral nerves will come through the peripheral nerve, enter the spinal cord, and come up to the brainstem, and then it goes into the thalamus, where all the sensory information are mixed together, and then it is relayed to the opposite side cerebral cortex. That is the area which takes care of the sensory system. The information is relayed there. So this information will also have the information from the vestibular apparatus also. So if there is any problem in the peripheral nerve or the area where the nerve enters the spinal cord, it's called radical, or some problems in the spinal cord, or some problems in the brain stem, or in the thalamus, or the wiring which connects the thalamus to the cerebral cortex. Any problem in these areas can result in some sort of balance issues. So our idea in history and examination will be to localize which part of the system is involved, so that we will be able to do curative things for these things. So my approach towards a patient with vertigo or any balance disorders will be, first up, I would like to categorize what type of symptom that they have and put under one of these four headings. That's the first step and the most important step in treating a patient with a sort of balance disorder. So first step is vertigo. If at all the patient complains that he has a spinning feel, that is everything is revolving, then that is vertigo. It is usually due to an involvement of one side of the peripheral vestibular apparatus, or the peripheral vestibular nerve, or the brainstem. It is usually, but it can also come in bilateral diseases also. The number 2 will be dizziness or disequilibrium. It's a spectrum. Dizziness I would take that dizziness is the lower end of the spectrum, and disequilibrium will be the higher end of the spectrum. Some sort of a rocking feel is what I say, subtle symptoms of subtle dizziness. And the higher end will be, the patient says that when I start walking, I am being pushed to one side. So it's a spectrum of symptoms. Dizziness or disequilibrium. Number 3 will be lightheadedness, where the patient complains of some sort of a balance issue, but when it doesn't fit into vertigo or dizziness or disequilibrium, they will fall under lightheadedness. It's like when we have a low blood pressure, when we stand up suddenly, you feel that head is feeling light. So the fourth will be pre-syncope. Pre-syncope means a person suddenly complains that I had sudden darkening of vision and I was about to lose consciousness. So those symptoms falls under pre-syncope. So this is the first and the most important step. The most important problem in balance disorder is the patient will not be able to convey their symptoms in detail to the doctor. For example, for dizziness, if you take balance disorder, the list of symptoms are a bit longer. Like the patient may complain that I'm dizzy, I have vertigo, I have giddiness, I have motion sickness. Even certain times I have seen a number of times where the patient complains of dizziness, but it turned out to be a syncope or even seizures. So it's perplexing for the doctor as well as the patient as well as the doctor. So the doctor needs to put in a lot of effort to clearly categorize what type of symptom the patient has, and then come to the diagnosis or arrive at the diagnosis, and then do correct remedial measures according to his problems. So once you categorize what type of balance disorder the patient has, we move on to history in detail, where first up we hear here in detail what the patient's symptoms are. The attention to detail is very important here, and then we ask targeted questions. I will make it a bit short and only highlight the important points. The number one is whether it's acute or chronic, and whether it is episodic or continuous. And if it is episodic, the next question is pretty important. The timing, triggers, and quality. And we can directly come to a diagnosis from these points. And then the aggravating and relieving factors. We need to give a lot of importance to this, because these points will directly take us to a diagnosis. I will give an example. If the patient says that in the triggers, they say that when I turn, I develop it. And number two, when I turn and I develop a vertigo, a spinning sensation, and it lasts from 5 to 20 seconds. Then you are directly taken to a diagnosis of benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. And if the patient says that around I missed my lunch and around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock I started developing dizzy, it may be probably a hypoglycemia. And a patient who is diabetic says that when I get up in the morning and start walking, the initial few steps I feel swaying. That can be orthostatic dizziness, secondary to the autonomic involvement, secondary to diabetes. So these are all connected. So if the history is good, we will be able to come to a diagnosis straight and very clear. And then from the history, we will try to localize whether the problem is in the vestibular apparatus, whether it's in the nerve. It's a bit difficult, whether it's a nerve or peripheral nerve, the vestibular nerve or the vestibular apparatus, and then whether it's brainstem, whether it is the connections from the brainstem to the cerebral cortex, or whether it's in the spinal cord, or whether it's in the peripheral nerve. So from the history, we will be able to reliably come to a differential diagnosis. These are the localization, that these are the areas which is involved. Then we compare it with the other information and then come to a probable differential diagnosis. And then we do the examination. From the examination, we confirm. So whatever we thought about in the history is right, and then certain extra information from the neurological examination, we will be able to confirm certain things. Again, we will strike out certain diagnoses from the earlier list and come to a differential diagnosis, set of differential diagnosis. And then we do the investigations if needed. So investigations are basically structural and functional. So structural means you do an MR imaging to find out whether there is any structural causes, and then if at all, if you feel that a video head impulse test or a nystagmogram will be these are all functional testing of the balance system. So once we have done a good history and good examination, we would localize where the problem is, and we will most probably have a single diagnosis, or in difficult cases we will have a list of differential diagnoses. And then we for the next step is very, very important, that if at all the patient comes to emergency with an acute problem, then our idea will be to pick up whether it is an episodic form of a chronic vestibular syndrome, or whether it's an acute onset vestibular syndrome. So that we need to differentiate, because the bigger problem in the in that scenario is stroke. So what we do is there is something called hints. So head impulse test, nystagmus and skew deviation. If these three things are there, they are likely that the patient has a stroke, and we need to act immediately. So once so by a good history examination and the pattern recognition, we will come to a diagnosis. So we will now discuss upon the most common balance disorders, and we will discuss in a short regarding their management. The most important and the most commonest balance disorder is BPPV, that is benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. Normally the balance apparatus, that is the vestibular apparatus, has few tube-like things which are called semicircular canals, which is filled with fluid. And when there is a lot of hair projecting into those fluids, and when we move, the water column will also move, and according to that the information will be picked up by the brain that, oh, we are moving to this side. So if at all there is some crystals formed inside that, or some autoconia which has gone into the semicircular canals, when we move, the crystals also will move. So that will be perceived as a acute vertigo, because if at all there is a problem in one, we discussed earlier that if at all there is a problem in one vestibular apparatus, then we will have the feeling of vertigo. So the treatment for that is repositioning maneuvers. So it is a clear-cut clinical diagnosis, mostly from history, also from examination. We diagnose which side and which semicircular canal is involved, and do repositioning maneuvers, and you can treat it almost instantaneously, and I think the patient will be asymptomatic within 1 or 2 days. And we use certain medications to symptomatic medication, that is to suppress the symptoms. These medications are not used for long term. To tide over the acute symptoms, we use these medications. The next disease that we are going to discuss is vestibular migraine. Migraine is a very common problem, and even the dizziness can be one form of migraine. So there are clear-cut guidelines, clear-cut criteria to diagnose vestibular migraine. It's very common, and and if diagnosed and treated correctly, the patient can have very good response to medications. The next one is vestibular neuritis, where the problem is in the nerve which connects the vestibular apparatus to the brain. The head impulse test is a very good clinical examination tool to diagnose this, and if we diagnose and treat early with a good amount of steroids, they can have wonderful response. But there is something called bilateral vestibular nerve involvement. So these are all, if at all treated early, the patient will have good results. And then the next is the most important one, stroke. Whenever a person comes with acute vestibular syndromes, the stroke should be considered, because we can thrombolize and we can revert those symptoms completely if diagnosed on time. Then there is something called vestibular paroxysms, where a person who was normal suddenly developed unprovoked vertigo lasting few seconds, and even that can cause falls and cause injuries. There are a few medications, especially carbamazepine, which can do wonders in patients with vestibular paroxysms. Very good treatment response. So from all these things, what we have discussed, almost 80% of these balance disorders are treatable. Treatable means either controllable or curable, almost 80%. So the primary step and the most important step is the history and examination. And once this is done, then we will be able to categorize categorize the symptoms, diagnose, and then treat correctly. Hope I have given a eagle's eye view on balance disorders. Thank you.